Doctors, is your chiropractic team aligned with you? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Perusich, and I'm joined by my co-host, I almost said Dr. Marisa Mateja.
No, doctor.
So it really feels like it most of the time.
Yes,
You're a
I'm
doctor
glad to
of
be here.
CAology. How's that?
CAology. I like that. Yes, that one's a good one.
Teamology. Marisa, we see this all the time. We see doctors hiring good people to be on their teams, but keeping them in a role that's very task-oriented. And when we're task-oriented, we wind up in our own little silos and nobody's really aligned with anything. They're just there to do a task.
Yeah. It's important to make sure that you've got somebody on your team, hopefully all of them on your team, that are really there to be a partner in your business with you.
More
And
than
so
just an assistant.
there's so much more. There's so much more than just an assistant in your practice. And I think when we leave them in that little bubble, right, of it, they become task doers, and we've got to break them out of that bubble so that they're not just task doers in our practice.
Yeah.
We need them to be so much more, not only to the practice, not only to the doctor, but especially to our patients.
Yeah, exactly. And you think of all the different, if we just get away from tasks, you think of all the different places in the practice that they can affect value in helping to promote the practice, build the practice, scale the practice, build trusted relationships with patients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many things. And yet so oftentimes we see doctors not really do enough of that development to make that actually happen, because it doesn't happen on its own. It's a culture-driven process.
It so is. The culture that we create in our practice, it drives them, it thrives them, it makes them excited to be there, those kind of things. So if you don't have that culture defined, set up, you're not doing training, you're not doing any kind of motivation, you're not doing any of these little things that help them along the way, that's where we see practices having high turnover. The turnover just becomes unbearable when you don't allow them to really grow and be a part of the practice and help it grow and help that those collections go up and patient experiences go up and all of those little things.
Right. And it's so easy for everybody on the team to get so locked into, and I'll just make an example here. Take scheduling, for example. Is that being performed as a task in your practice? Oh, hello, Mrs. Smith. 10 o'clock is available today. God, good. Or is it a process that somebody is actually managing and managing with heart, so that the practice, the scheduling aspect of the practice becomes much more dynamic and much more efficient and much more, which leads to more profitability in most cases because you get patient engagement. Is it being driven like that, or is it a task?
Yeah, a task, what we'd see on a schedule would be absolutely just willy-nilly throwing people on wherever you feel like it's necessary to have a patient, instead of really planning that day out, cluster booking, looking for opportunities for when are the right times for a new patient to be on your schedule. And of course, those of you who have been around me know that I like a organized schedule, because it then organizes your day and breaks the chaos out of your schedule. You don't have these highs and lows on the schedule. Everything's even keeled, and it makes the practice so much easier, not only to manage, but it makes it easier on the doctor. It makes it easier on the employees to be able to come in and know what's going to happen on the schedule. It makes it just easier to manage all the way around. The schedule is really important. And if it's just a task, you don't see what I described, chaos.
Absolutely. And I got a couple of things I want to add to that. We got to take a quick break, but I want to come back and talk about organization, what a key factor it is in the practice. So docs, we're talking about getting your staff aligned with you in your practice. And that means a whole bunch of things. So that's what we're talking about. We'll be right back.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them. But when it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where Chiro Health USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At ChiroHealth USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join ChiroHealth USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put your patients first, everyone wins.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We're talking about aligning your staff, your team, your assistants, whatever you call them in your practice. We like team. About aligning your team with you and your vision and your goals and the practice and so forth. And Marisa, you brought up organization as such a key thing, and you're fantastic at that process. But you would take it a step further. You talked about getting your day organized. But you didn't just look at the schedule as a day. You looked at it as a week, a month, a quarter, 6 months, a year. You would come to me on Monday mornings, for example, and tell me, hey, I got 7 patient slots open on Thursday, and Monday right now is looking a little light.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's being aligned. That's
exactly.
managing it. That's being aligned with what's happening in the practice. That's knowing the fact that we have openings coming up. And if you share that information with those people who are on the team, the doctors mainly, right? The other providers that are the ones that are going to be filling those slots, it helps them organize it in their head. It helps them be able to communicate that then to the patients that are in front of them. Hey, you're going to be doing some yard work over the weekend and you're pretty flared up in the low back. I want to see you back on Monday
Yeah.
because we know that's where our openings are. Or let's say it's Wednesday. I don't want you to go any later than Wednesday next week, but I need you back on the schedule. It gives those patients better direction. Number one, that's what we're there for, is to help them understand what their care is and what they need for their condition and those kind of things. So it helps them, but it also helps us because now we're organizing the schedule as we go. We're creating opportunities to fill slots that maybe wouldn't have gotten filled had the doctor not known those things. It's vital. And I will say not only organization, but what am I talking about? Communication. And I think a CA's superpower is good communication with their doctor, and that
Yeah.
could be aligned.
So, docs, I'm going to ask you, what kind of training and development are you doing with your staff to make them super communicators? Because you're right, that is their superpower.
Yeah.
You would throw me little key pieces of information throughout the day of little things that patients would tell you walking in the door. Oh my gosh, I'm 30 minutes late because my heel was hurting this morning. Hey, Mrs. Smith might have plantar fasciitis. That would open up a whole new treatment conversation with me, with the patient. So now I've got a patient who we just found an opportunity to create a brand new treatment plan. And
Absolutely.
it creates another win-win scenario in the practice, but the patient may not have ever told me that. The patient wasn't going to tell me they were late. That's something they're going to tell the front desk or you floating around the practice or whoever.
If we think about communication and we think about our patients telling us as employees of the practice information, we're going to hear a lot more than the doctor ever will. And so some of us spend a lot of time with them, whether it's at the front desk or whether it's in therapy or something like that. We end up in conversations with those patients that the doctor will never end up in a conversation with.
Right.
They open up to us because we're chatting and you're learning about them and what's new with you? What'd you do this weekend? How'd you spend your time?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Now it's opened up all this information that they're pouring out to us that maybe you wouldn't have known before that.
Or you would open up a conversation with a patient. Oh my gosh, I love your shoes. And the patient would turn around and say, oh yeah, I got these in New York. We were in New York last week. Oh my gosh, I walked 1 billion miles, walked.
Yes.
And so I had to buy some new shoes while I was there because my feet were hurting. You would tell me that. I'm never going to ask the patient about their shoes. to open
Yeah.
up that conversation,
Yeah, it's amazing all the little things that they will share with you about really their conditions that you didn't know about. So now all of a sudden it's, oh my goodness, you've done all this walking, and not only do your knees and your feet hurt, but maybe your low back's hurting. When I walk a lot, that's what happens. Your low back can tighten up very easily. So you end up in these conversations, and again, communication can be our superpower as employees of the practice if we're
Yeah.
just listening to our patients and really paying attention to them.
And docs, I want to point out two things here. All of us are trying to look for ways to increase our capacity and increase our efficiency. Look what we just talked about that took things off of the doctor's plate. You kept the clinic organized and the schedule organized. I didn't have to worry about that. I could just focus on patient care. You'd feed me the information that I needed, and it allowed me to not have to worry about the rest of it. Same
Well,
thing
and
with
I think you have to, be paying attention to those things in the practice and making sure that you're doing the training along the way. So I see a lot of docs that want to skip that part, and staff will never know what you need from them if you don't stop, slow down, and have those
and
points
have those
of
discussions.
training and discussions along the way. Hey,
Yeah,
this helps me if you do this, or those kind of things. And then all of a sudden you open up a world of, oh, yeah, absolutely. I can watch for those things. And you'll have staff so engaged and excited to come tell you things because they know that, hey, this may increase our capacity to see more services with just this one patient. We may be able to help them in so many different ways. And hey, the good side of that is collections and those kind of things may go up as well.
exactly. Again, it creates that win-win scenario. And so I hear a lot of you docs out there say, I don't do staff meetings much anymore. Or we only do them once a month, or I never know what to talk about. Here, I'm going to tell you something right here. This is the kind of stuff you talk about. And docs, you
Yeah.
don't need to talk. You need to ask questions in a staff meeting. How can you guys, this is maybe what you say, how can you guys as the team, as the chiropractic assistants, how can you help make patient relationships build stronger? How can you help manage the scheduling process? How can you help scale the practice? But here's the key. You have to take one step backwards from that. Your staff has to know what your vision is.
Absolutely.
They don't know what your vision is. If they don't know why you have a goal of seeing 100 patient visits a week, then they're not going to be aligned with you. That's part of the alignment process, is they have to be involved in what the vision of the practice is, not just the goals and not just the simple goals. As a team, we talked about every nook and cranny there was in the business. There was hardly anything that was off the table to be discussed. And
Yeah.
that's building that culture.
We have to remember that being the chiropractic assistant is so much more than just a job.
Yeah.
Like that's that task doer mentality. If it's just a job, it's so much more than that. We're helping change lives, really. We're
Yeah.
helping people feel better and be able to function and all these things. And so it's huge to have that knowledge base from you as the doctors to know what is our goal? What are we aiming for
Yeah,
here?
why are we here?
Why are we here?
What's our purpose?
They can do more than what you are allowing them to do. I can
Exactly.
guarantee it.
Yeah, exactly. Joel Osteen wrote a book called Purpose Driven Life. And I only bring that up because if we don't speak about purpose with our team, they don't know why they're there. My
Yeah.
job is to answer the phones, or my job is to escort people to the adjusting tables. My job is to bill the insurance. No, that's not your job. That's not your role. That might be part of your job description, but your role in the practice as a team member is to help build the practice, help promote the practice, help scale the practice, help build those lifelong patient relationships by creating trust in that environment. And that doesn't happen just by the doctor doing it. In fact, that's probably the hardest way to do it. It happens as a team.
It does. Yeah. And those things happen when you have set times to discuss them and go through things. We've got to make sure you guys are really slowing down enough to get yourself off the mouse wheel every now and then for those things.
Yeah. And I hear doctors say all the time, doctors, I'm going to call you out on this. Every time I hear this, I'm going to call you out. But we don't have time to do staff meetings. We don't have time to do a 5-minute huddle in the morning. What? Yes, you do.
You do.
We saw four to 500 patient visits a week, and we had plenty of time for 2 huddles a day. We had time for you and I to have our weekly meeting. We had time for our staff meeting every week. And I don't mean a staff meeting that was 10 or 15 minutes long. Our staff meetings would be usually an hour and a half because we had so much to discuss.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd have to schedule a second follow-up meeting because there was so much to work on. And our practice, the more we worked on it like that, the better it got,
Yeah.
better it got. And after a while, it was almost like it was just a machine operating on its own.
Everybody was aligned.
Everybody was aligned. Said, hey, let's take another quick break, but we're talking about aligning your team so that you're all working towards the same vision and the same goals. We'll be right back.
KC Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success. We are dedicated with one-on-one guidance to bring you all your practice management needs. Let's supercharge your practice. Give us a call today.
All right. Welcome back to the podcast. We're talking about this is really good. This is deep. We're talking about how to align your team with you, doctors, instead of them just being task doers. I love that term, Marisa. Instead of just making them task doers, let's make them partners in the practice. And it doesn't necessarily mean literally, but why not make them partners in the practice? Because Rome not only wasn't built in a day, it also wasn't built by one person. And so when we come together as a team, and that's the whole point of hiring people, you want to hire really good people who can help you grow the practice, not just affect some duties during the day.
Absolutely. You want to break down those walls. You want to be able to find those commonalities between you and who does what best. And how does that help with your alignment? Knowing, do you have the people in the right positions? Do you have the communication strategies in place? Do you have the scheduling strategies in place? Do you have all of those things that bring everybody together kind of thing, all the training, everything? It's such an alignment of all of those things. It can't just be, I'm going to pick and choose. You really need all of that to be able to function well in your practice.
Yeah. And that alignment process happens because you create a culture that says you're not here just to do a job. We're here to serve. We're here to support. We're here to treat as many spines in our community as we possibly can and help people with needs that they have. That's what we do as chiropractors. We're solutions solvers. We have
Absolutely.
solutions to people's needs. So stay aligned, stay empowered. Great things to work on in your practice. Marisa, anything else to add?
No, just make sure that you're working together as a team and make sure that you put communication as one of your top priorities between everyone, including your patients.
Well said. All right, everybody, be sure to go check us out at katzconsultants.com. Subscribe to the podcast. We're growing because of you guys. And be sure to share this with your colleagues out there. This might be a great show to have your staff listen to as well. So
Absolutely.
we look forward to seeing you next time on here. From all of us here at KC Consultants and the ChiroPulse Podcast, we'll see you next time.
See ya.